In the following video, we present the iPad application Bubbles Magic. Bubbles Magic, like our other application, operates with the touch of the screen. With the ability to change the background into any image that the child will enjoy, bubbles appear with the slightest touch. With the addition of sounds popping, a child can make the biggest bubble he wants and then pop them at any given moment. It's helpful in activation and keeping children focused on the application. In this video, we introduce Roberto. Roberto is 24 months old and has a diagnosis of shaken baby syndrome and suffers from a seizure disorder. Visually, Roberto was diagnosed with a retinal hemorrhage. Prior to using the iPad, Roberto's vision specialist, Judy, reported that he could not reach items unless they were really close to him. He struggled with reaching at midline, and his attentiveness was only lasting 3 to 5 seconds. Since using the iPad with Judy, Roberto reaches with his left hand at midline and has begun extending his right arm to activate the iPad. He's become more attentive and can and will explore for 1 to 2 minutes at a time. Take note of how Judy adapts a session when Roberto chooses not to look or reach, or when he tries to mouth the iPad.
So Roberto, we usually have him sitting here in his stroller, and then we present him with the iPad at midline. And then we'll usually tell him, "Bubbles, Roberto, bubbles," or we'll give him a tap on his arm, either one. Usually he'll use his left before he uses his right. And then sometimes we have to, "Roberto, Robe, bubbles." ¿Jugamos con las bubbles, Roberto? Bubbles. Robe. Touch, Roberto. So the advantages of this app for Roberto is that he just has to touch it and he gets an immediate reaction, and it has the audio level as well for him. We're not quite sure how much vision he does have, so he does seem to focus on it a little bit, but then he really gets that reaction from the popping of the bubbles with his hand, and it's really easy because at first he was just doing it with a fisted hand. Now he opens his hand to it, and he really likes using his left over his right, so we're practicing trying to get that right hand more on the screen for him. Roberto. So I get him to use his right hand more, just kind of doing a little physical hand over hand and trying to get him. See, sometimes when he gets it on there, he really uses it himself. Tries to tap it. He likes to bounce a lot, so he'll bounce on it. So sometimes we'll place it on the side for him right here, and he'll bounce on it. And with the Bubbles app, he really is when presented at midline with the iPad and he's using his left, he's reaching over. Once you move it, he's reaching over to his right side. The main goal at first was to get him to use his right hand if I had it on the right, but he started just reaching over with his left, and then slowly he's been using his right more and more. And then he does, when you put it too close and he kind of leans forward and he'll feel it with his head, he does try to kind of mouth on it and get a reaction with his nose for the bubbles. So usually at first it was a lot of telling him verbally, like, "Oh no, we're not using our mouth," and getting his hand and putting his hand and saying we're using our hands. But slowly it's just been the verbal, and or just moving it slowly away, and he'll kind of stop doing it. Other times he'll reach and grab the iPad and bring it closer to him, but sometimes he won't mouth at it. Muy bien, Roberto. La otra manita.